Three terrified children discover a sudden landslide next to the railway, with a massive tree lying dead center across the tracks. They intend to rush to the station to warn everyone, but the train is due to barrel through in just 3 minutes, making it impossible to get there in time. Thinking on their feet to prevent a tragedy, the kids decisively strip off their red flannel undergarments, hastily fashioning them into striking warning flags to wave desperately. They assume the bright red will serve as a life-saving signal, but to their horror, the speeding train shows zero signs of slowing down. The driver seems to miss the warning entirely, and the passengers remain completely oblivious to the impending doom ahead. Just as the train draws closer, Bobby unexpectedly disregards the danger and rushes right into the center of the tracks. With the train about to smash into the girl, the driver finally glimpses the figure on the tracks at the very last second and frantically yanks the emergency brake. Although the children successfully avert the accident, Bobby, her nerves stretched to the limit, passes out cold. The driver immediately jumps down to check on her, and fortunately, Bobby is only suffering from shock, with no major physical injuries. To honor the children's grit and bravery, the railway company organizes a special award ceremony for them. But no one expects that this very ceremony will lead the children to a kind soul who will completely turn their family's destiny around. 6 months earlier, the family of 5 is living a cozy life, guarding their warm little home. Their father is a hardworking businessman, while their mother is gentle and virtuous, giving the children warm companionship. Though not exactly aristocracy, they have servants to handle the daily grind, living a stable and smooth life. On brother Peter's birthday, father handpicks a model train as a surprise gift for him. The children even invite neighbors over for a birthday party. But on this lively night, the family's fate turns upside down when their upright father is forcibly taken away by 2 strangers on charges of treason. Terrified by this sudden upheaval, the children surround their mother, endlessly asking where father has gone. Mother holds back tears and hides the cruel truth, softly comforting them by saying, "Father has just been called away on urgent business to a faraway place." The children assume it's just a brief separation, and that the family will be reunited once this period passes. Unexpectedly, a few days later, the servants pack their bags and leave without saying goodbye. With a heavy expression, Mother announces to the children that they must sell all the furniture and move to the countryside. Although Mother tries hard to feign strength, the panic and sorrow hidden in her eyes are fully noticed by the sensitive Bobby. Under the cover of deep night, the family boards the train heading for the countryside. The journey is grueling, and they only arrive at their destination as dawn is about to break. The uneven country path makes Phyllis stumble and stagger, causing her to fall repeatedly. Luckily, a kind-hearted porter helps with the luggage, making the bumpy trek a little less unbearable. But the moment they step into the house, the siblings are completely shocked by the sight before them. Not only are the walls peeling and dilapidated, but the scurrying sound of rats in the corners sends them huddling tightly around Mother in fear. Bobby thinks this is the rock bottom of their lives, unaware that even more hardships are waiting ahead. To subsidize the household, Mother plans to earn meager manuscript fees through writing. Without servants to help, Bobby has to shoulder the heavy responsibility of caring for her younger siblings. To avoid disturbing Mother's writing, she takes her siblings out to get familiar with the surroundings. They specifically walk to the station to find the porter who helped them the previous night and formally express their gratitude. Perks, the porter, is deeply touched to see the children behaving so sensibly. However, as the days pass, the temperature grows colder and colder. The children want to burn coal for warmth, but Mother helplessly cautions them. In the past, the fires in their home never went out, but now they must endure the cold to save money. Peter, however, comes up with a bold idea. When darkness covers the land, he sneaks out to the train station alone, hiding from everyone, determined to steal some coal to help the family. But before he can secure his loot, he is caught red-handed by the patrolling station master. Just then, his sisters rush over in a hurry. They know their brother is in the wrong, but they are momentarily at a loss for what to do. The station master sternly scolds Peter and plans to report him to higher-ups for appropriate punishment. They assume Peter won't escape penalty this time, but in this critical moment, the kind-hearted Perks pleads earnestly on his behalf. Upon learning of the children's desperate poverty, the station master softens his heart and decides not to pursue the matter further. On the way back, Bobby gently instructs her brother that even if they are poor, they cannot resort to theft and must keep their integrity by earning things with their own hands. Another month flashes by, yet there is still no news of their father. With nowhere to place their longing, they stand by the railway, waving vigorously at the oncoming trains, hoping the train can carry their concern to their distant father. Unexpectedly, an old man by the window waves back at them with a smile. This sudden interaction fills the children's hearts with overflowing warmth. Little do they know, this kind old stranger they've never met will soon completely reverse their family's predicament. From then on, the children come to the railway promptly every day to wave at the speeding train. And that old man always waits at the rear of the train, responding gently like family. Gradually, this becomes an unspoken understanding between them. Soon after, Mother's writing finally pays off, and she successfully receives her first manuscript fee. Although the amount is meager, given their desperate plight, this money serves as a ray of warm winter sun, offering the family a glimmer of hope. Unfortunately, just as they feel a glimmer of light, tragedy strikes again when Mother catches the flu without warning. The doctor carefully writes out a nutrition list, instructing them to buy nourishing food to help her body recover better. To help their mother recover, the children are determined to spend all their writing earnings on nutritious food. For themselves, they buy only cheap buns to barely stave off hunger. Even so, this small amount of money is far from enough, and Mother's health continues to deteriorate. The next day, the sensitive Bobby finally comes up with a plan. She digs out a white bedsheet from home, determined to summon the courage to ask that old gentleman for help. When the train passes as scheduled, the old gentleman is sitting at the rear of the carriage as usual. But when he looks up, he sees only 2 children by the road. The siblings work together to hold the white sheet high, which reads, "Look out at station." The old gentleman's heart sinks, realizing immediately that the children must be in trouble. Sure enough, Bobby anxiously waits for the old gentleman at the station. She clutches an envelope, steps forward quickly, and speaks politely. The old gentleman slowly opens the envelope, and Bobby's neat handwriting comes into view. In the letter, she earnestly explains the family's desperate situation and attaches the food list prescribed by the doctor. She solemnly promises in the letter that she will return every penny once she grows up. After reading the letter, the old gentleman's mouth curls into a quiet smile, deeply touched by the sincerity and stubbornness in the children's bones. Unexpectedly, later that afternoon, Perks arrived at the children's house, clutching a heavy hamper in his arms. It turns out this hamper was exactly what the old gentleman had entrusted him to deliver to the children. He sets the hamper down, rambling on about funny incidents from his trip over. But the 3 children are so captivated by the massive hamper that they don't hear a single word of Perks's mumbling. Seeing that no one is responding, Perks awkwardly shuts his mouth. But the innocent Peter misinterprets the silence, thinking Perks is hinting for a tip. Little does he know, this unintentional misunderstanding actually offends the kind-hearted Perks.
Looking for any tuppences?
The children couldn't wait to tear into the hamper, only to find that every single item on the list was accounted for, and there were even 2 old hens included as an extra surprise. The next day, the old gentleman comes to the rear of the train as usual, and the 3 children signal him from afar, sharing the good news of their mother's recovery. The old gentleman looks on with relief, surprised that his small gesture truly helped a family weather a storm. But when Mother learns the truth about the children asking the old gentleman for help, she scolds them strictly. She blames them for rashly asking a stranger for assistance. The children feel wronged, as they only wanted their mother to get better, never expecting their pure intentions to make her so angry. Mother immediately decides to write a return letter to the old gentleman. In the letter, she sincerely thanks the old man, but clearly states her stance on the matter. She always believed that she could still support her family with her own hands, and under no circumstances was she willing to accept charity from others without reason. One day, a panicked man suddenly appears at the station, babbling in a language no one understands and looking helpless. The ticket seller, out of options, takes him to the station waiting room. The children lean in to listen carefully and vaguely recognize the man's words as Russian. Remembering that Mother speaks Russian, they immediately decide to bring the man home for her to translate. After some communication, the children learn that this Mr. Szczepansky is a writer, just like their mother. Under a cruel regime, he was forced to flee his homeland, coming here solely to find his family who had drifted to London. Seeing Mr. Szczepansky in a similarly desperate plight, the family immediately decides to temporarily take him in. Shortly after, a landslide occurs in the mountains, and Bobby rushes forward regardless of the danger to stop a speeding train. It is at the award ceremony for this act of bravery that she finally meets the old gentleman formally. It turns out the old gentleman is a high-ranking executive at the railway company. After hesitating again and again, Bobby finally summons the courage to ask the old gentleman to help find Mr. Szczepansky's relatives. During the conversation, Phyllis brings out the family's treasured tea leaves and brews a pot of hot tea for the old gentleman. He takes a sip, his eyes lighting up with surprise, and he praises Phyllis's tea-making skills endlessly. The pure kindness and enthusiasm of the three children touch the bottom of his heart. A few days later, the old gentleman brings good news. He has actually found Mr. Szczepanski's relatives. Overjoyed, the children drag the old gentleman to rush off and tell Mr. Szczepanski the news, accidentally leaving Perks behind. But the sensitive Phyllis notices Perks's unspoken disappointment at being left out. Although Perks often speaks with sharp words, his actions are always accommodating. As soon as Bobby enters the room, she excitedly tells Mr. Szczepanski the good news. The man, who has drifted for so long, instantly tears up, his heart filled with gratitude and the joy of what was lost being found. Escorted by everyone, Mr. Szczepanski bids farewell to the warm land that sheltered him and boards the carriage carrying the hope of reunion. Later, the children's mother specially thanks the old gentleman for his previous help. But the old man just smiles gently, saying there is no need to dwell on it. He says, kindness is never a light that shines alone. As long as someone is willing to reach out and pass on the warmth, it will spread between people. Watching the carriage fade into the distance, Bobby can't help but wish that they could be reunited with their father too. But what she doesn't know is that this secret hope is slowly turning with the gears of fate. Days return to their calm routine. One day, Bobby comes home as usual, only to find the usually open door locked tight. She pushes in with confusion, only to be greeted by a warm surprise. The family is preparing a birthday party for her, singing the familiar birthday song softly. Mother smiles and offers her sincere blessings. Peter even gives his most treasured toy train to his sister, filled with colorful candies. Although the little train's motor is long broken, Bobby shows not a hint of displeasure. She knows this is her brother's most precious sentiment and accepts the gift immediately. But deep down, she secretly resolves to fix the little train and return it to the cute little guy. This is her warm response as a big sister. So the next day, she takes the toy train to the boiler man for repairs. When the craftsmen recognize her as the girl who saved the whole train, they agree without hesitation. When Peter sees the restored toy train, his excitement is beyond words. However, in this moment of joy, Phyllis suddenly asks curiously about Perks's birthday. Perks freezes for a second, then replies softly that his birthday is on the 18th of this month. But he explains somewhat awkwardly that he has been running around for a living and hasn't celebrated a birthday in many years. However, his casual remark is quietly noted in the hearts of the three sensitive children. A new little act of kindness is quietly brewing. That day, Mother happily shares the good news that she has sold another manuscript, finally allowing the family to have a good meal. But Bobby suggests saving it for the 18th, wanting to use this day to treat Perks to dinner to thank him for his constant help. Mother immediately agrees, but after thinking it over, they feel that a simple homemade meal alone is far too shabby for a birthday gift. They rack their brains for a long time but can't figure out what to get Perks. Suddenly, Peter's eyes light up, remembering that Perks is always helpful to everyone, so the neighbors would surely be willing to send him blessings. On Perks's birthday, the children run from door to door and actually manage to collect a pushcart full of gifts. The neighborhood auntie gives half a pound of homemade roasted peanuts, the grocery store owner gives a brand new razor, and the blacksmith specially forges a handy shovel. This pushcart of gifts carries more than just the village's sincere blessings. It's a heartfelt tribute to the quiet kindness Perks has shown them all along. Perks's wife gazed at the gifts in total shock, never imagining that her husband's silent acts of kindness would inspire such a warm and overwhelming outpouring of gratitude. They assume what follows will be a touching scene, but no one anticipates that what happens next will catch everyone off guard. When Perks returns home from work and sees the items, he actually thinks his wife disregarded their poverty and spent money recklessly to buy them for him. Just as he is about to explode in anger, Peter, hiding in the room, rushes out to explain that these are birthday blessings from the villagers. However, upon hearing this, the extremely proud Perks gets even angrier. He feels the children's actions have turned him into someone begging neighbors for favors and soliciting charity. He sternly shouts at the children to stop and demands they return everything immediately. He even angrily throws down harsh words, hoping they will have no further contact in the future. It is only then that Bobby, standing to the side, finally can't help but speak up. She says that even if they cut off contact from now on, in the hearts of the three siblings, Perks will always be a good man. But they simply cannot return these gifts because every single one is a blessing from the heart. Perks is moved to tears, never having imagined that his bits of kindness would be exchanged for such heavy respect. Just as the three children turn to leave, he immediately stands up to stop them. He not only solemnly takes back the angry words he just spoke, but also insists that the children stay to celebrate this significant birthday together. They assume the warm days will continue, but unexpectedly, an unintentional act of kindness by Perks completely shatters the peace. That day, Perks brings Bobby a stack of magazines to help her pass the time. But while flipping through, Bobby suddenly glimpses a drawing of her father in the paper, with a headline stating he has been sentenced to 6 years for espionage. She frantically hides the newspaper and rushes to question Mother, burning to know the truth about Father. Facing her daughter's anxious questioning, Mother has no choice but to reveal the whole story. It turns out a business rival, jealous of Father's success, secretly framed his shop as a stronghold for reactionaries, which led to his arrest and imprisonment. This belated truth strikes like a bolt from the blue, filling Bobby with grief and indignation. She immediately suppresses her surging emotions and writes a letter to the old gentleman, imploring him to help investigate some clues. Early the next morning, she hands the letter to the station master, asking him to deliver it personally. A few days later, she actually receives a reply. The letter says there is a lead and invites her to meet at the station. When they meet, the old gentleman's words surprise Bobby. The old man says she didn't need to write, as he had long seen the news about her father and had already been investigating secretly. He firmly believes that a father who raised such kind children would never commit treason. He called her here to say there is hope for overturning the case, but it is not yet time to tell Mother. On a beautiful morning, the three siblings suddenly remember they haven't greeted the old gentleman in a while, so they rush to the hillside. Just as they arrive, they encounter the familiar train. But unlike before, everyone in the carriage leans out to wave enthusiastically, and the old gentleman waves especially hard. The three siblings are bewildered, unable to figure out the situation. Phyllis and Peter rush home to tell Mother about this strange event, but a premonition quietly rises in Bobby's heart, and she walks slowly toward the station with anxious anticipation. Unexpectedly, everyone she meets along the way smiles at her and speaks warmly. When she reaches the platform, the station master cryptically tells her the 11:50 train will arrive on time. Perks also rushes over, his face full of hidden joy. No one explains what is happening, but she can't stop her heart from racing. Just as the train slowly stops in front of her, a familiar figure appears outside the door. That figure still carried an aura of resolute righteousness. Yes, it is the father the children have been thinking of day and night. Father and daughter hold hands tightly, their eyes hiding the joy of reunion and the urgency to return home. Bobby runs ahead to tell the family the good news, and Father stands outside the gate, trying to calm the excitement surging like a tide in his heart. Mother runs out of the house, and the moment she sees her husband, she rushes forward to embrace him tightly. Phyllis and Peter also throw themselves into Dad's arms, laughter and happy tears intertwining. At this moment, no language in the world can describe the happiness of this reunion, and this warmth, woven together by kindness, will never fade over the years. This film is adapted from the novel of the same name, The Railway Children. It is not just a journey of a family's growth through hardship, but a moving anthem of kindness and warmth. It has no intense conflicts, but outlines the most moving portrait of humanity with the simplest goodwill. When a wealthy family suffers sudden misfortune, falling from luxury to poverty, the children do not sink, but guard their purity and courage. Whether stopping a runaway train with red flannel or asking for help with dignity, every moment tells us that suffering is not a shackle, but kindness is the power to move forward. The most moving part is not the happy ending, but the mutual help between people in adversity. It teaches us that while life may have storms, as long as we harbor kindness, those scattered glimmers will eventually gather into a light that illuminates the road ahead. This is the true meaning of this movie moving people across the years.